But it's working though. Hello family, I'm Barber and I'm a real alcoholic. I want to welcome everyone to the Atlanta Step Up Society book study. The name of our book study is the Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life book study. We have this book study every Wednesday, right up here, 7:30 p.m. till around 9-ish. 9-ish. Most book studies that I attend usually last an hour and a half. All right. So what we're going to do is I want to put out to the world our address. It's 733 Monroe Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30308. The phone number 404-892-3392. People ask, why are you doing that? Somebody asked me that. I'm going to tell you, this is a global meeting. This meeting is not local anymore. We got some DVDs and CDs, I was told tonight, in North Carolina. I know we got some or have some in Texas. And, if I'm not mistaken, they went to the Caribbean. They went to the Caribbean. People are calling me long distance, ordering the CDs. But on the same talking, remember my cousin Ron told me something. He said, man, charge these folk for these CDs. He told me that in the meeting. I said, well, you know what? Let me try it my way. My way don't work. You put a lot of time in here. You know, we will pay for what we want, but we want someone to give us what we need for free. That's over. Tonight, I'm not putting these CDs in the basket and tell people to put some money in. Because I put 30 CDs in, I come back with $22. They're $5 each. If you want them, fine. If you don't, fine. That's okay. We don't care. But I found in my studies, because I have paid, I can honestly tell you, and since I've been buying CDs, since I've been clean, if I was to go back through my credit cards and stuff, or if I were to dial Amazon, Hay House, and Nightingale, I know I spent $20,000. I know that. So, just invest $5 or $4, even if you're $3. But if this thing started in 1935, and they were putting $1 in, and people still put $1 in today. But then again, I could be wrong. Because it started with rich people. If you study AA history, Dr. Silkworth and them were working with rich people. Maybe they didn't come up with the dollar rule. Maybe we did. All right. I just want to announce that, and by all means, make sure you're here. January 30th. Our own Erica will be celebrating her first year of recovery up here. And I would like for everybody to be here, because it's going to be a beautiful thing. And we're all going to, the step up will make sure it happens. My wife is already planning different things what she's going to do. And we're in step 1. So it's still going to be based around step 1. For people who's new to the book study, it's real simple. Listen and learn. Listen and learn. I have been doing these studies over 18 years. I got 20 years clean. I've been doing it, I would say 19 years. I started in an apartment that I had with 3 people. And it kept expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. At one time, it was like real popular all over the city. All right. So I feel that this is my dharma, This is the reason I was born. I was born to suffer, go through everything I went through, to be sitting here tonight to teach people how to stay clean and sober. That's my dharma. That's my mission in life. That's what God assigned me to do. I know that. I know that. It's not a thrift store. It's not my mission in life. That's where I work at. My job is not my life. I hear a lot of people talking. They put their life as their job. That's fine with me, but it's not mine. If I don't have a job, I still can have a life. That makes sense? This is what God assigned me to do. How do I know? Because I'm grateful that people like Jet and some other people, kind of got me into doing this. Because when I do this up here, I have no idea. If you caught me downstairs 5 minutes after this group, people walk up to me and they be like, man, what you said this, you said that. I said, hold it. I have no clue what I said. When I know what I said, when I get the CD the next day and be listening to it going on the road, I said, man, that was deep. That was good. But I had no clue. That makes sense? I had no clue in here. I guess a musician, someone who plays an instrument or in a band or something like that, they probably don't know when they're on stage. But when they get down and they play it back, they probably can say, wow, that was deep. So that's how I know that this is my dharma, and I feel it. So tonight, we're going to start a new chapter. It's in chapter 3 on page 30. Did I open with the silence and all that?
Not yet.
All right, it's no problem. This is whatever. God's in charge, not Robert. All right, let's have a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We have a camera now instead of the computer. The computer was fine. I enjoyed it. But my wife, bless her heart, she thought we needed to upgrade. And she went out, and we have some happy people in the back. She went out and bought this group out of her own money a nice high definition digital camera.
All right.
And it's a 3D camera too. I like that. So I had the opportunity to look in the screen, and it's a whole different picture. So if you buy the DVDs, you're going to have some nice ones coming up now. All right? And you're going to have to buy it to get it now, because I understand it. It's a lot of time and a lot of work. At first I didn't. Where's Charlie?
Charlie back there.
Thank you for the CD. I got you. And Charlie been bringing in some for us, and I got you. All right. What I want to do is we're going to start it more about alcoholism. Remember, I told y'all, in order to do step 1, you have to understand all the information that's from page 0 to page 30. The 12 steps is in different parts of the first 164 pages. And there's a recipe to get you to the step. All right, if I were baking a cake, I think I use the example of Erica. If I went to Erica's house and she had a German chocolate cake, and I put it in my mind, I said, wow, this cake really tastes well. I'm going to make me one. And I go out to the Publix, and I lean on my own understanding. I didn't get a recipe. I said, well, I know she has some chocolate in it. Tastes like pecans. Maybe some coconut, because there's something on top. And sugar, eggs. flour, baking powder. And I said, that's it. I go home and I take them ingredients and stir it up and put the oven on 350. But by my addiction, before I put it in the oven, I'm going to say, I put 2 cups of sugar in there. I know I need to make it sweeter. But you know how we think. We're going to add something to it. Nothing going to be standard. So I'm going to put me another 2 more cups in there. And a couple more eggs. Because once you start adding, you got to add some more other ingredients too. And I put in that oven and bake it. Will my German cake, chocolate cake, resemble anything like her? No. The reason it will not is because I lean on my own understanding. I did not have the recipe. Well, it's the same thing with the 12 steps. If you do a first step without the recipe, I'm telling you, you're leaning on your own understanding. You have no clue about the obsession and the disease concept. And if you have no clue about the disease concept, the book tells you you're starting your recovery journey incomplete. I said before, if you don't have the information, and if you relapse, I don't know if you really relapsed. I really don't know what you call that. That makes sense? Because you was incomplete from coming out the door. So my thing is, I do know one thing. If you do it the right way, the way we're taught up here, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. I have never seen a person relapse who did this the way we do it. Never in my 20 years. And if they did, it was because God had something better for them. I can honestly tell you that. It's not over. This is not a body game. This is a life game. That makes sense? How to save people's lives. I want to do one thing. One thing. I was reading the Bible, and I do a lot of Bible reading. And I know this is not a religious organization, but it do say in the book we're going to talk about things religion, we're going to talk about things medical. Did it not say that? In John 1 it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then it goes down and says, and the Word became flesh and dwelled among us, and some Bibles say in us. Well, if God was the Word, then I'm going to change it a little bit, and it really do apply. This AA book, to me, is the Word. For me. This is my Bible. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the Word has to become flesh. Mm-hmm. Me. It has to be downloaded in me and become alive. That makes sense? Yeah. This is not a story about people who lived years ago, and I'm reading a history book. That's why I tell you to take this information, take those CDs, take those DVDs, listen to it over and over and over till it becomes you. I'm not reading about Bill's story. This is Robert's story. When they talk about the obsession and the disease concept, I'm talking about myself. It's alive in me. It's my job, because I told you this is a Dharma, to make it alive in this room. So if anybody comes in here, I want you to download the information till it becomes you. That makes sense? Yeah. The Word became flesh. Us. So when we study this thing, it's not about them, it's about us. That makes sense? The Bible is a biography of God. It's all about God. If we study the people that they talk about in the Bible, all the different people, all the different tribes and all the different books and all that, you go crazy. Because it's not about them. It's about what? God. The AA book is a biography about Robert. It's about me. It's about me. The experience, strength, and hope of the other people who put the book together, put it together so I can put my experience, strength, and hope in here, and it becomes me. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. I'm downloading the information for me. It's no longer about nobody but me. When I start reading this book, I'm reading me. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
All right, so with that information, because this is going to be a good one tonight. This is deep. This tonight's study is step 1. When you walk out of here tonight, you have done, if you can grasp it, a step 1. You got it? Mm-hmm. So let's go. You probably.
More about alcoholism, chapter 3. Most of us have
Can you hear it? Go ahead.
Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death.
This is going to be deep. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. What that one sentence is talking about, and they went back in the previous chapter that we studied, and they kind of broke the alcoholics down into categories. Remember, we had the moderate drinker. Then we talked about the hard drinker. And then they had a whole page about the real alcoholic. For most of my drinking career, and I drank for 30 years prior to me getting in here, I would say 20 years. 20 years prior to me getting in here, I was unwilling to admit that I was a real alcoholic. At certain times, I was a moderate drinker. When I first started out, I would take it or leave it. Go out, and go to clubs and stuff and drink on the weekend. I started drinking early, like high school, beginning of high school. So I wasn't drunk every night. I did go to high school, but I couldn't wait till the weekend came. I was planning my party because we had a lot of house parties. I knew the house party for the month and 2 months out. And my friends would go out and we would all go to these house parties, and they were like wanted to dance and do all this kind of stuff. My first thought was, let's get good and drunk first, and then we do all that dancing. But the alcohol had to be first. That was the priority. I would even go out and buy different shoes and clothes that went along with drinking, not dancing. Certain shoes, you can't go, dancing too good in boots. But you can drink better in boots. So I would buy me some boots. It had nothing to do with partying. That makes sense? So I couldn't admit that I was a real alcoholic because I could take it or leave it. And then when I became hardcore, I started seeing some problems in my life. Like getting a DUI. That's hardcore to me. Going to my high school graduation, too drunk to walk across the stage to get the diploma, my brother went for me. That's hardcore. Y'all laughing. Check this one out. Going to my college graduation, too drunk to walk across the stage. And my brother went for me. Hardcore. But I was not a real alcoholic. I don't think I never admitted that till I read it in the book. That's just me. I took that all the way into here, to the rooms, to St. Jude's, that I wasn't no real nothing. All right, that's just one sentence. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. I never thought that I was different from them. Never. And I had friends who did not drink, and I rode with them, and I got drunk, and I puked in their car, and I did all kind of crazy stuff, but I didn't think I was different from them. I called them next week and said, y'all ready to roll? I didn't think I was any different. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers, for you new people, if you've been in any job, if you work for the educational department and you work 20, 30 years and you retire, that's a career. You was in the military, 20, 30 years, you retired, that's a career. Work for the post office, career. Drink 20, 30 years, career. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless I mean, I can't even count. It's like the promise God made to Abraham or something. You're going to have so many kids, you know, people that like counting the stars or the dust on the ground, the sand. It's countless. You can't even count them. Countless, vain means unsuccessful attempts to prove that we could drink like other people. I set out to prove that I could drink successfully like other people. I always use my cousin Haywood, but more than Haywood, it's just simpler because he was my close cousin. Haywood could take it or leave it. I spent countless unsuccessful times thinking about how I'm going to drink and don't be drunk and stupid, because Haywood never got drunk and stupid. So I'm going to drink and use like Haywood. And it was always unsuccessful. And I was set out to prove it. When I mean by prove it, it's like the night before or the day before, when I know I'm going to be drinking and drugging, I will put it in my mind that I'm not going to be stupid tonight. That's how I mean by proving it. And mean every word of it. And there I was. After the first drink, I didn't know who Haywood was, so it ain't made no sense to even bring him up. But I had to use somebody, blame it on somebody, you know, off I was. It was, I couldn't, even I went out to prove that I could do it like other people, I never was successful at it. That makes sense? The ideal, here it is, it's a thought that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. I took that lie. And up here we talked about threadbare. We've been on that for about a week. The weak ideals. Threadbare is like an old regular, you know how you got an elbow or a knee like a little kid? You know, we see them in the back all the time, you hanging clothes. The kid done wore it out the knee. Yeah. But it's still there, but nothing but the thread, the jeans gone. That's a thread, but that means it's weak. I carry that weak ideal that I can control and enjoy my drinking is the great obsession of every drinker. I carry that weak ideal for years, that I'm going to be able to control it next time. 20, 30 years, I would tell myself that weak story. That makes sense? Weak. Worn out ideal, because I wore it out. It was never successful. I just wore that weak ideal out. The persistence of this illusion, false ideal or false belief, is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. People believe, even though their life and everything about them says, you know what, I'm gonna forget about people. I told y'all, I was Skid Row bum. I could be laying at a park on the park bench. Can't move all day long. And I work for a labor pool or something. Like the labor pool, I couldn't get a ticket on Sunday. And I'm flat broke from Saturday. 2 hours after I done got out of the labor pool. On Sunday, I lay there all day long on the park, on the ground, shooing away ants, brushing them off me. And I would tell myself, tomorrow when I catch out, I'm going to do better. I took that kind of thinking all the way to the bitter end. I always told myself, I'm going to do better. I'm going to be able to control it next time. Until the time I got into treatment. I never let it go. If it wasn't for the grace of God and a treatment center, I would be dead today. Treatment center saved my life. Suppose there was no treatment center. A lot of people take treatment centers and AA meetings and NA meetings for granted. Come in here like you got it going on. Like it's all about you. If we didn't have a place, you would be dead. Because you couldn't control yourself. Had no willpower whatsoever to stop drinking and drugging. Then come into a treatment center and cuss a counselor out. Pathetic. If it wasn't for the treatment center, you'd be dead. Do the next one.
We learned that we had to fully conceded to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed.
This is step one. You can circle that paragraph and put a big old 1 around it. This is the first step in recovery. Y'all got it?
Yeah.
We learned. You had to be taught that we had to fully concede. Let's look that word up, because I don't want you to miss nothing in here tonight. Go ahead.
Concede, to form or develop in the mind, is one definition. And it says, come to a form and understanding, realization, view, or idea. Think.
That's conceive. Go up one.
Okay, concede, to admit, agree with, accept, acknowledge, to show, although often against one's will, that one agrees to or with something.
That's right. To concede to something, you must honestly agree with, accept, acknowledge, but I like what Jet read, the last part. When you concede to your innermost self, to yourself, is to show, although often against one's will, that one agrees to or with something. You have to agree to yourself, to your innermost self, that you are a real alcoholic. We have gave you the disease concept. We taught you that an obsession of the mind. You're going to have a thought that's going to override all normal thinking. You might have 4, 5, 6 things that I would do that's normal. I'm going to get me a Monte card on payday. I'm going to pay some bills. I'm going to send my kids some money. You know, I'm going to wash my clothes and put $50 up, for next week so I don't be going to work looking stupid and trying to borrow money every day for lunch. That was my big thing. Put the money up. I got my little check in my pocket. On my way to do it, this is the disease concept, on my way to do those things, and one thought always occurred in my mind. It wasn't no whole lot of stuff that came to my mind. It was one thought. Now, everybody might have a different thought. That's okay. But if you is honest with yourself and go back through your mind and your acting, you'll know what it is. That one thought came to me, but hold up, Robert. Before you go do all that stuff, just get you one. That's what it was for me. It might have been something different for somebody else. But whatever it is, it got us in here. Just get you one. I would listen to that one thought. That's the obsession that overrode all the normal thinking. It didn't tell me that if I put the drink in, the allergy gonna trigger to the craving. It didn't tell me that part though. He told me get you one and then go do your normal stuff. I would put the one drink in. I always started with a drink. I'll put me a beer in and I would drink it. Once it's in my body, this is what y'all taught me, the craving kicks off. Every cell in my body wants more. More. It sensitizes my cells that I want more. So if I want more, I'm going to want another what? Drink. Then it get bigger. Speed up. I ain't in there to see it, but I shoot. It don't take a lot of imagination to know. Then another one. Then another one. Until the craving becomes so big that it overrides my normal thinking. That's it. My mind cannot stop me from craving. If I'm on the floor geeking. My mind said, get up, fool. Ain't nothing down there. You know. It will even get a little deeper. It won't even talk about a martyr card. My mind will say, get up, fool. You know you're supposed to give your kids some money because they got a field trip tomorrow. Get honest. Ain't nothing I can do because I'm powerless. I just shut up. I ain't giving them nothing. I stay right on that floor. Right on that floor. When your mind tell your body to get up to do something that's supposed to be good for you and you stay on the floor, you're powerless. After that go for a little while, now I'm broke. And I'm in remorse. I'm in remorse. Lord Jesus, I go to praying then. Lord Jesus Christ, why? I'll never do this again, God, if you just help me. I start looking through the sky. This is me. Seeing I can see heaven. The Last Supper. I need something. I never thought no God was inside of me because they told me to look outward. I started looking all through the clouds, Jerusalem, something, Mother Mary, somebody come along with a helicopter, get me up out of this mess. Nothing. Never came. I can be feeling so depressed, sad, irritable, upset, disgusted. Y'all remember them feelings? Mm-hmm. Pitiful. Just suicidal. You can come up to me and say, yo, I got $50. You want to go? BAM! I jump up out of that depression and start the cycle all over again. All over again. That's what I got to be honest to. See, I used to think that recovery or step one is about me going to a meeting, raising my hand to share and saying, I'm Robert and I'm an addict. I'm Robert and I'm an alcoholic. Because that's what it said. Admit that you're powerless over alcohol. that your life had become unmanageable? That's what I did. I'm admitting. I thought that was step one. That's before I had the recipe.
Okay.
Once I got the recipe, that had nothing to do with step one. That's me telling y'all. Step one, I had to tell myself that I got the real disease of addiction. I'll tell y'all a true story. All of it's true. But when I do that, it's a true story. It's kind of like Jesus saying, truly, truly, I say. You know, it's something I really want you to catch. That's what I really want you to understand. When I say that, I really want you to get this one. You might sleep on some other stuff, but don't sleep on this one. I had like 16 months clean. I think I told this story before. And my sister and her husband were getting a divorce. I didn't know anything about it. I thought they was like two peas in a pond. And my mother called me, and I was living in an apartment not far from here, and it was like July, and they had maybe 4th of July, something like that, and they had having this great big party in the quad that I lived in, and I didn't go down there because they were like using, and everybody was just partying, a lot of loud music, they were cooking and everything, but I wanted to go to a meeting, so I never went down there. And my mother called and she said that, look, your sister and her husband is getting a divorce. Like, I was shocked. They were the same two that drove me to treatment. When I had my little passes, you know, in the treatment centers and stuff, I would go to their house and stay. My niece and nephew were there, so I thought it was a nice little family. You know, it was very good for me because they didn't really use. When I was there, they did nothing but took care of me. So when I heard that news, I was a little upset. And my mother was saying that my brother-in-law, he was upset with my sister and my two other brothers. He was angry. So evidently something had happened. And I don't know what happened to this day because I'm not that type of person that even really, you know, get involved in people stuff like that. So he was angry and he was telling my mother negative stuff about my sister. Now I'm in recovery, so I'm a little self-righteous now. Got a little time. I done heard some honesty stuff, you know what I'm trying to say? And work a few steps so I can be totally honest. So he said some negative stuff about my sister, and I was on the phone with my mother, and I said, well, he's right. She do that. She said, okay. Then she went to my older brother, you know, my brother that's right up under me. He said some negative things about him. I said, well, honestly, you know, I'm in recovery. He's right. He do that. He went to my younger brother. I said, yeah, he's right. That's what he do. He said, whoa, hold up. I'm going to tell you what they told me about you. I said, what? He couldn't have said nothing about me. I'm in recovery. He said, nah. He ended up saying stuff like, about me, he said that he's a junkie. He's always going to be a junkie. He ain't going to last. I'll give him credit for lasting a year or something, but I put a hat out and we were betting that he relapsed. And he said some more negative stuff about me. But what stuck was the fact that he called me a junkie. And see, I had been in the rooms admitting to y'all that I was in recovery. I'm a recovering alcoholic. He said I was a junkie. First thing came out of my mouth after 16 months clean. Who do he think he's talking about? I am not a junkie. It got nothing to do with that. I am not no junkie. I'm not an alcoholic. Inside, I told y'all when I get something inside my chest start to burn. That's when I know stuff ain't right. It started to make me sick on the inside, just get hot. I said, Lord have mercy. See, I could tell y'all I was a recovering alcoholic, but ain't nobody called me one. Ain't nobody called me a junkie. I tell myself that, but it was something else when somebody else said it. And I denied it. I told my mother, I ain't no junkie. Who are you talking about? He talking about my other two brothers. He ain't talking about me. And it hit me. I put the phone down. And she was just still yapping. I could hear. I put the phone down. I started crying, man. I said, you know what? He's right. I have been a junkie. In his eyes, I am a junkie. Just because I can go to rooms and tell y'all that I'm okay, that's not good enough. I never told myself that I'm clean and sober. I'm telling y'all. I put that phone down, and I went outside to that balcony, and I had that part, man. And I said, you know what? I need to tell everybody that I've been a junkie, and I'm in recovery now. I opened up that slide door to all them people down there. I said, hold up, hold up, hold up, cut the music off. Y'all, if anybody know me, know I'm crazy enough to do that now. Hold up, shut up, cut it all off, I got something to say. And they cut it all off, and they looking up, and I'm on the 3rd floor. They looked up at me, I said, hello world, I'm Robert B, and I have been a junkie. I want everybody to know, because I ain't going to never say this again. And I'm in recovery, and I'm grateful, and I'm thanking God I'm in recovery. Yes, but I have been a junkie. My mom was still yapping. And something came out of me. Something came out of me. That's when I knew I really had the disease of addiction. That makes sense? Yeah. I had to tell myself. I've been telling y'all. And after that, I knew I was clean and sober. And that night, I went to a meeting they had up the street. And I'm going to say it was Fulton County had a meeting. And it used to be massive. Remember that? On Friday night? Paycheck. That was the name of it. Boy, that was a big one. You had to have some courage to share in there. This ain't nothing. This is a piece of cake compared to that one. And I went up to that meeting, and I wanted to share that. I tell you, I really wanted to share it. And I was sitting there so scared. And I raised my hand and put it down. And the guy saw it. He said, you shall. And they kind of like, I think they made you stand up, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah, just stand up to share. Everybody beat the 300 people in there easy. And I stood up and I shared that experience with everybody. And you know, they gave me a standing ovation. People came outside and said, now you got it. It's when you tell yourself that you got the disease. It's when you start to recover. You can tell anybody else that. And they said, you know we good liars. You can tell anybody outside what's going on, but you better be truthful to yourself. And that's what turned my whole recovery around. That makes sense, y'all? Yes. I had to learn to be truthful to myself. I can tell you anything. Let's go back to it, page 30. We learned that we had to fully concede, and that's against your own will. That's what the dictionary said, didn't it? Yeah. It said that to show, although often against one's will, that one's agreed to or with something. I had to agree against my willpower that I was an addict, and then I have the disease of addiction. That makes sense? Even when I didn't want to do it, I had to do it. I had to break past that barrier. All of us felt, we learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. You have to tell yourself tonight that I suffer from the disease of addiction. You don't have to do it like I did. That if I take one drink, and I like to hear the people always talk about, oh, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm just an addict. Because most people start with a beer or a glass of wine. You know what I'm saying? You can say that you want to. You better be honest to yourself tonight. That's right. Because if you ain't got $10, I know you're going to buy a dollar bill. I know that. And it's going to trigger that allergy. I don't care. It's going to get you. All right? So, the delusion. Now, here it is. Delusion. Let me do that one because Lord knows I don't want to miss nothing. Because you can't miss nothing on this one. That makes sense? Delusion is a false psychotic belief. They put that in italics. Unsound and misleading reasoning is false. The false The false belief that we are like other people or presently may be has to be smashed. You can't have no leaking thought that you can drink and use like other people. That has to be smashed. That makes sense? Totally 100% withdrawal. When we go to meetings and they say you must work step 1 100%, this is what we are talking about. Telling yourself 100% that I cannot take one drink. Now there's gonna be some people here don't believe that. That's okay. You don't say you might not believe it, but don't say you ain't heard it. Then you be double lying. You cannot walk around think you can use like other people. And I know if you can hear my voice, you're a real alcoholic. Ain't no half alcoholics in here. You 100% real alcoholic. But I cannot understand how you made it to AA or NA and don't think you won. How did you get this far in the demoralization of your life to the pit of hell and don't think you won? How did you do that? I don't understand. No, I don't want to do it. Do you want me to do it?
Do it.
I had a minister come up here today. Asked me for a job in the treatment center. I said, this ain't no church. But you a minister. That's what he told me. I said, okay. But we only have 2 small places. So what do you really want? Well, I'm living in the Hotel 8. You know. I looked at his shoes. Okay. If you living in the Hotel 8, you need treatment. You need treatment. He kept talking and kept talking. I said, well, I'm going to tell you what I know. Most ministers I know don't live in the Hotel 8. But if your life, let's say you was, and your life, he wanted to run a treatment center. You know, he wanted to be in charge of one. If your life got you all the way down to the Hotel 8, and you want to run a treatment center, maybe you need to be in one. Because something broke.
Yep.
And I did tell him this. I said, I don't know, because I'm going to do it. I'm being real. You know, I ain't sugarcoating this no more. I'm trying to say lies. I don't know about no other state. I was born in Georgia. I've been a lot of places, and I'm back in Georgia. I spent most of my life in Georgia. I do know something about Georgia. In the state of Georgia, if you're a psychiatrist, you had better have a degree and a diploma. That's what I told that minister. If you're a certified drug addiction counselor, you had better have some credentials. Been to school. But I do know anybody can say they're a minister. They ain't gotta have nothing. I'm ordained. Well, I don't know, but I know you have to show me something. I'm pretty sure the real one got credentials. Clefo got some credentials. But just because you walk from the Hotel 8 and come in here, they making you no damn minister to me. That's on the real, ain't it? Right. I know what you are, because we had this, like we talked about this last week, didn't we? Yeah. We know what you are. You need to know what you are. All right. let's keep going. The point is, I'm not trying to do a lot in the group tonight. I want everybody to understand step one. You have to tell your stuff. You can't do a lot. You don't even need to get out this paragraph. That makes sense? Because you're just wasting time. I don't want nobody to walk out of here tonight and think they could take a drink. And I done heard reservations. I got some of the best 20 years of experience. I got some real good reservations. I was doing my internship at a place, and I had this, the group in the morning was spirituality. For the first 30 days in the phase 1, they had to come to my group every day. And right before they get ready to go on past, I had to talk about reservations, abuse it. And it's all in the book. You know, you have to just go, they had it all written down. You just follow the script. So I was talking about reservations one day, and the guy said, well, I really don't know what reservations mean. I said, that's holding back. Somewhere in your mind, you think you can still use drink or drug and control it. If somewhere in your mind you think you can do that, then you have a reservations against what we are in here. Because we say total abstinence. You sitting in the total abstinence program thinking that you can get away with a beer when you get on pass. That's holding a reservation. He said, well, I don't have one like that. I never heard one like this. I said, well, what are you talking about? Because he had me confused. And I'm a student. I was a student too. You know what I'm trying to say? He said, well, you know, back behind the cafeteria, out in the courtyard, is a big old oak tree out there. I said, I know. It's been out there 500 years. The oak tree was out there, you know, I'm sarcastic. So the oak tree been out here before the treatments, and they built it around. Can't you tell it? You know, I'm just joking with the man, right? He said, you don't understand. I said, what are you talking about then? He said, when we first came in here 30 days ago, I buried my stem out there by that oak tree. I said, what? He said, yeah. I said, are you telling me this is a treatment center that it's out there by the oak tree right now? He said, yeah. I said, no, it ain't. You gotta be kidding. He said, yes, it is. I was gonna dig it up before I went on past. I said, thank you for sharing. I took the whole class out there, and we scraped in the dirt, and there it was. And then I made him stump it, you know, and he's still clean to this day. That had to be smashed. That idea had to be. I have never heard one like that one before. What would have happened on his way out had he not confessed that and went and got it?
And off to the races.
Yeah, he might be dead. That was a good one. I ain't never heard one like that. All right, we do one more paragraph.
We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful, and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better.
Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. To get in front of a class and read is kind of hard. It's not as easy as y'all think it is. If you don't believe it, I switch up sometimes. And it's hard for me. Like, I have an ideal, then I'm reading the sentence, and I'm trying to explain it. Even I mess them up. You know what I'm trying to say? It's not an easy task. You know, and then he has to also kind of put a finger or something on the spot where I'm at. Because ain't no telling where I'm going to end up at. So it's really a job. Yeah. And I'm grateful that you're up there. You know what I'm saying?
It's a good job, too.
Yeah. All right. It says, we are men and women. You know what? And I have proved that. Because I have been in some group and people would tell me, he didn't do this and he didn't do that. I go, okay. I don't say nothing to them. Next week I put them up there. It did. You can't even read. You can't even read. And you criticizing and judging somebody. I mean, can't read at all. They never did that again. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. What that means, when we're talking about control, we're talking about controlling the amount that we drink. If you go out and I go out and I say I'm going to buy me 1 6-pack and that's all I'm going to drink, that's what I see normal people doing. Am I right or wrong? Because I'm always watching other people. We go out and I get the 6-pack and I drink the 6-pack, the craving has triggered. Once that craving triggered, 6-pack go to another 6-pack. There's some rum, then this and that, and I'm on a well-known spree. I cannot control the amount that I take in. The only thing I ever been able to control is, when it comes to drinking, is Diet Cokes. I can drink one of them. That's all. I can't drink one energy drink. Now they got 2 for $4. I always pick up 2. You know what I'm saying? So really, they're talking about the amount we put in. Then it says that we know that no real alcoholic ever recovers. We can never, ever recover. That makes sense? I know I can't recover. And we're going to talk about this next week in detail about why we can't recover. First of all, we had the disease of addiction. That's number 1. But the reason I can't recover is because even if after 20 years, if I take a drink, I know for a fact I'm a dead man. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such interviews, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control. We were getting worse, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. I got so bad in life. Let me do a demoralization. That means confusion, discouragement, corruption, or destruction of one's normal function, morals, and sensibilities. Everything worthwhile falls apart. That makes sense? Yeah. Then you demoralize. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. And that's the word right there, illness. Progressive mean what? Continue. Then they're going to give us the promise of tonight. This is the promise of tonight. Remember I told you there's promises for doing recovery and promises for not doing it. Any way you look at it, you're going to get blessed. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. All right, we're going to open for Q&A. That's the end of the study tonight. Anybody got any questions or any comment or anything you want to talk about? Remember that the hour and 20 minutes. Anything you want to talk about that has to do with step 1. Step 1. I don't want to go out step 1. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk. He said we got 20 minutes. I don't want to talk about. This is just me. I'm not God. But I don't think we need to be talking about no relationship tonight. And no jobs. Step 1. Because step 1 is important. If anybody do not understand, well, let me do that first. Anybody do not understand what we're talking about not taking a drink and the reason why we can't drink or use? I like to say drink. In here, it's like a CA meeting. We can say what we want to because it's ours. People going to criticize if you say something right. They're going to criticize if you say something wrong. I'm just trying to save lives. But I never seen somebody really, really truly, if they look at themselves truly, didn't use alcohol. And I ain't seen too many alcohol didn't use drugs. Well, I never smoked. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. All I did was drink a beer, couple beers, and drink a whole thing of Robitussin. A beer and 6 Benadryl. Same thing. The founders and the people in the AA would tell you they were drinking and using high-powered sedative and morphine. They even named it.
I was going to say.
Who are you?
I'm Aaron. I'm an addict.
Hey, Aaron.
I was going to say this is me. This is me all the way around the board, and I love your teaching the way we stay here, because this really got it tonight. The delusion that we are like other people. That's one of the biggest things that this thing keep that I forgot what you call that thinking keeps coming at. You know, I'll get clean for years and I'll go somewhere, and then being that I used to smoke crack. You know how we go in our thing and say alcohol is a drug. You see people doing normal drinking Corona, beer, regular things, and doing normal lives, and then the delusion starts up. Wow, I can do that. I can have a beer. But I know this day, because of my disease, because of the disease that I have, that if I put anything that alters my mind, I'm off to the races. And the proof of that is I would go and fool myself and listen to that craziness and go to the bar and start to have a beer. I wouldn't even get a quarter way through the beer. And just like on the Flintstones, you know, something, they're speeding it up, the bar stool would be spinning around, the beer would only have 3 sips out of it, and I'm going my way to the bricks. I would just get that little bit of alcohol in me, man, and pow, the real me would come out. I never even made it through the beer. So it wasn't even about the beer, it was just to get that craving going, and I was off to the races. So when we're reading about this, man, I really get attentive, my ears stand up, because I don't want that. I don't ever want to deceive like you said, it must be smashed. You know what I'm saying? And that was the seriousness I see of it. That concept that I can be like normal people has to be smashed, and it's not such a bad thing. Something inside me makes that a bad thing, man. I can't drink like Roscoe. I can't have a Corona like Billy Bob. I can't have a beer after the Falcons win Sunday. You know, you know what I'm saying? That stuff bothers me a little bit. You know what I mean? That stuff, you know, that's what it plays with me. Even though I know I can't do it. It just, you know, that's just me.
He's talking about, and I know I got this mic on, but he's talking about himself, which is okay. Right. Now, let me show y'all something. Remember, I'm a counselor. See, and he did a good job. Am I right or wrong? I'm not going to take from he had, but I will have to teach him that, okay, when we talk about mind-altering chemical, we left out what? The disease in the allergy. The first thing we want to talk about, forget the mind-altering. If I put it in, it triggers the allergy. That's the body. See, if we leave the body out, we starting the journey incomplete. The very first thing that comes to us is once I put a drink in, the allergy triggers.
Automatic.
Automatic.
No offense whatsoever.
When you drink that much of that thing, it's the body.
Yeah.
Take over. It's the body. It's the body. Y'all got that?
You know, Mike.
That's what we're trying to tell the world. Everybody want to stay in the mind and overlook the body. It's the body. The body, the body, the body, the body. But you're right about one thing. Now I'm going to come back to the good part. He's right about one thing. If you live long enough, that's what my pastor used to always say, you're going to get a disease. It might not be the disease of addiction, but you're going to have a disease. It's diseases all through my family. My wife is a breast cancer survivor. I have a disease of addiction. My daughter is a cancer survivor. That one is a cancer survivor. I have people that got high blood disease. Diseases is everywhere. What makes us so special that we can't have one too? What's the big damn deal? It ain't no big deal. Accept your disease, go on about your life. And the lie is, after the football game, I'm just gonna have one beer like the rest of them. That's the lie. I ain't never had one beer like the rest of them.
My name's Charles, and I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Hey, Charles.
You know, this thing reminds me of my real alcoholic moment, realization in treatment. After being taught the allergy up at Carp, and in my little smart way, you know, I got around to asking him, you know, I kind of cornered him. I said, well, you know, how do you actually know when you're a real alcoholic, you know? What can you tell me on that, you know? And he looked at me, and without hesitation, he said, when you blacked out. The first time you blacked out, you was a real alcoholic. And I just sit there stunned, because my mind raced back, and I knew exactly when it was. I put my finger on it. I was in 2nd Avenue, Harlem Square, in Miami. I was 16 and a half years old. I've been drinking tobacco wine all day. I fell out in the bathroom. I just sit there and shut up. I had no doubt to this day that I'm a real alcoholic based on that. And I didn't question it no more. I did not question it anymore. But I wanted to say that, I don't know if anybody ever heard that or not, but that just cooled me out. I had no more reservations about that from that point on. Thanks for that.
Thanks for sharing, Joe. I'm Ron Howard, alcoholic.
Hey, Ron.
Now, when they talked about countless vain attempts to prove that I wasn't an alcoholic, you see, but it took an inventory for me to find this out, right? And this was one of the parts my sponsor showed me in the book. Then I sit down and I thought about when I used to go, the guys at work, we be at work, and they said, look, Ron, you going down there tonight? We going to the bar tonight. And I said, yeah, I'm going. And I get, that's okay. I'm gonna go in there tonight. I'm gonna do just like the rest of them. I'm gonna drink me one, you know, I'm gonna drink a couple of beers, and I'm going home tonight, you know. Every Friday night, I tried not to be an alcoholic. So I'm gonna drink beer tonight. I ain't gonna drink no liquor. It's that liquor that keep, every night, they go home, I end up behind the bar, in jail, in an institution or something, and I tried this for years, countless vain attempts. I said, okay, here we go again. They said, Ron, you going tonight? I said, yeah, I'm in the car. We on our way down. I said, man, I know what I'm gonna do tonight. I said, I'm gonna just drink one. You know what, I ain't drinking no beer. I'm gonna get wine tonight. And I ain't gonna drink but 2 glasses. And it never happened. It took me 20 years to find out that I can't drink like other people. And the disease concept later in life really proved to me that I can't drink like other people. And one thing, book studies helped me to keep from getting this twisted. I was twisted. I said, man, I wanted to be, man, I don't know, if a real alcoholic, they talked about the real alcoholic. I really, really tried my best to be like my friends. I said, Lord, if I could just go home one night, and I'm gonna take all my money. And he talked about the part. I said, I know they waiting for the school money in the morning. I ain't gonna drink but a couple of beers. It never happened. And I don't know if anybody in here, they talking about now, not to play alcoholic. They talking about the real one. Those are people that tried. I tried not to be one. I don't know if you never did, but I tried. I tried some, one beer. Anybody ever tried to do that? Just one beer tonight. Maybe I'm gonna go this way tonight, and I'm gonna go that, and it never happened. Thank you for letting me share.
Thanks for sharing. We got about 10 more minutes. Anybody go ahead, Will? You can just hold it like close. I'm just trying an experiment. He said we don't need it.
Okay. Hi. What comes to mind for me was the fact that before I even used, I was convinced, and I had been told that it was a mind disease. Nobody told me that it was also physical. So since I was smart, went to college, made A's, voted most successful, and pride myself on, just being an intelligent person, I was convinced that my mind was not going to let me do what everybody else's mind told them to do, and I could get it right. So I had several vain attempts, and it was the first, it took 2 years being in recovery, 13 years ago. The first 2 years of the 15, I still was convinced it was in my mind. And until I came to this big book study 13 years ago, did I understand the disease concept and realize that it was mental and it was physical. So I thank God for this big book study.
Thanks for sharing. Couple more. Everybody looking like, you know what? It's time to go. I don't care nothing about no disease tonight.
Hey everybody, I'm a free alcoholic named Larry. Hey Larry. I just wanted to put some emphasis on us truly admitting to ourselves that we are what we are. Because when I first came into the fellowship in treatment, I came in because of drugs. And I would never concede to the fact that I was an alcoholic. Because that wasn't why, I came in. And needless to say, I left with big resentment. I was at St. Jude's at the time. And I still didn't concede to the fact that I was an alcoholic. And I was cool for a couple of months. And I started drinking beer. And still cool for maybe another month or so. Beer led to the brandy. And next thing you know, I was back to what I really wanted to do. I almost lasted 10 years until I wandered through here. But I said all that to say this. For me to go through that, oh man, you explained this disease concept, but it was then that I realized I was a real alcoholic, because it almost took me 10 years to get back here, because I used to start off getting high by drinking a brandy and drinking a beer, even though I didn't drink myself to death, but the drinking led to all my problems. I was the type of alcoholic that I was, but I was like being a little bit pregnant. Either or you're not. But for the young man over here, it was put to me this way. When did I know I was a real alcoholic? When it was explained to me that I could start with my mind and I couldn't stop with my mind. But see, the type of alcoholic I was, I had to keep it simple, man. I can remember my whole behind from Thursday. But that was it for me.
Thank you for sharing. All right, we're gonna close out. But you know what? I can honestly tell you something. I didn't know anything about this stuff either until I started going to a book study. I went to a lot of meetings for about a year before I got in the book study. That's when I started learning the book. It was in the book, and I never even heard nobody even I never heard people even share about the disease concept till I came into the book. I never even heard people open up, raise their hand and say they was a real alcoholic. I didn't even heard the word real until I came in a book study. So I think the book study is really important, and I highly suggest you to commit to them. And once you do, what I started seeing, that was just me. We go to book study, especially when you get up in the steps and stuff. When we get past step 1, the book stopped talking about the disease. We start going on life terms. That's right. We come up out of this the disease and drinking and all this stuff. You don't hear that no more. We talking about resentments and stuff like that. Stuff that really keep us sick. Because really, at the end of the day, we have a spiritual disease. But I ain't said a word about it. Because it ain't going to do you no good if you can't stop drinking. Alright, I'm about to close. Let's close with a moment of silence. No, let's make the circle. Go ahead and cut it out, Wayne, so we don't mess up the tape. But it's